All right, point number 3 is good works. Good works accompany this. So Jesus says, not only are you to bring the message the kingdom of heaven is near, but in addition to that, heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, drive out demons, and they had the power to do it. Jesus said, you can go out and be my representatives to bring healing to a world and not just bring a good news message. And this is why at Christ Community we have ministries that work side by side with both word and works, both working together. This is why elders are available every Sunday morning for prayer. This is why Stephen ministers will be there to help people carry their burdens and pray with them. This is why we have a counseling ministry. This is why we do divorce care. All of these things work together so that word and works go side by side. And it changes people one life at a time. About a year ago, a woman named Amanda came to us in the wake of her husband's affair, and their marriage quickly was heading towards divorce. Now, in the process of finding a lawyer, she also found a divorce care group at Christ Community Church. And the reason why she found that group was because there was one person who cared about Amanda's life and made an invitation and said, in this point of pain, this is something that you really need. She was in a bad place at the time, but there she met Kathy Sell, who's one of our amazing volunteers. She was her table discussion leader, and Kathy began asking her good questions and inviting some fresh perspective into her life. Now, Amanda did not have a relationship with Jesus at this point in her life. And the reason she said she wanted to go to a divorce care group was because she knew that talking about things made her feel better. But they kept opening the Bible and looking to God. And after about 3 weeks, she called her sister Camille and asked if she could start going to church because she wanted to learn more. Later on, Amanda said, divorce care and going to church changed my life. Amanda made Jesus the center of her life, and she had an entirely different support network than she had a year ago, and a whole different perspective on life as she focused on Jesus. Well, as she started to pray in her new life in Christ, she kept getting this message from God that she and Jack, who is partly through the divorce process at this point, were not quite done yet. So after talking to Kathy and praying about it together, Amanda asked Jack to go to lunch. Now, she had heard that he had been going to church a little bit too, which was not a part of his background. But the exchanges between them were brief and mostly centered around lawyers and children and that kind of thing. But when she went out to lunch with Jack, the first thing she said was, let's just leave the lawyer thing outside. I want to talk about something. And she told Jack about how she had received Christ and thought that just maybe, she should give this thing another go. Well, it turns out that Jack had been attending this church by the name of City Light, and he had been meeting with a pastor named Gavin who was mentoring him a little bit on this subject. So she said, we had lunch on Monday, and Wednesday he called me and asked if I wanted to meet him and go with the boys for lunch. It was awkward, but Thursday he asked if I wanted to meet with him and the boys at Shields, and Friday I asked if he wanted to go with me and the boys to the pumpkin patch. And after about 3 weeks, we started things over, but this time building on the foundation of Jesus. And that was 6 months ago, and since then he's gotten rid of his apartment. They're all back in one house together. Both of them got baptized at City Light just 2 months ago. And here's a picture of Amanda getting baptized. Yeah. And there's a picture of Jack getting baptized. Now, I did not know this, but after the last service, a woman comes up to me and she said, you know how when I have come up to you in those healing times for the services, we've been praying for my rebel son to come back to his wife? She said, my son's Jack. You've been praying for him and didn't even make that connection. So he got baptized. And then the two of them came to Christ Community where they got marriage counseling. And they said, it's the sweetest thing when their two boys pray at night and give thanks for their family all being in one house, which a lot of families take for granted. And this all goes back to one person making one invitation to one life. And I know that many of you have been in prayer for that one life that God has put in your life, that you might be able to make an invitation to Easter services or to Heaven is for Real, in order to be able to help them to make decisions that will literally change their life trajectory and change their eternity. Guys, this really matters when you make these invitations. It really matters. It changes people's lives. So Jesus says, bring the message and bring the good works side by side.